Who are you?
Shalom. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and my background, where I come from essentially in Torah, and what I'm here to do for the Universal Torah Noahide world at large. My name is Rabbi David Katz. I come today from the north of Israel, Sfat, Israel. I'm a Baal Tshuva, returning to Judaism from Middle America. And a little bit about my history and my background. I was in yeshiva in the old city of Sfat for over a decade, so I've been learning and teaching for over 15 years. And my path to Universal Noahide Torah began in Sfat. I live on the campus of the cave of Shem and Aver, the same cave where Jacob, Yaakov Avinu, as we say in Hebrew, learned Torah from Shem, the son of Noah. And we have the privilege of learning and teaching Torah just outside the cave on the campground. There's an apartment building here. And this all began as I started to teach a series of lessons of the Torah of Shem on a Noahide platform. That ended up being, as I became an educator to various Noahides, answering questions. And a lot of the questions were things such as, can we keep the Shabbat? We researched it. It became this Ger message, whereas the answers to the questions in the Hebrew, obviously Noahide is an English word, so it's not in the Torah, we found Ger. And that became what we do today, which is essentially the universal message, a broad message for the nations, how to worship Hashem, keep the Torah, love God, love Israel, and be happy serving Hashem in a very expanded role that, thank God, in today's world is coming out. So my background is to develop these ideas, really pretty much my entire life around this, but more specifically in yeshiva and today for the last 15 years at large. This is the message, and thank God it's reaching many people all around the globe. Thank you.
What is Yeshiva Shem V'Aver, and where is it?
Yeshiva Shem and Aver is obviously a throwback to the original terminology of Shem, the son of Noah. Many of you may have or may have not been familiar with the forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and in the various, we call it in English the legends, or in Hebrew the Midrashim. They studied Torah, the original Torah, pre-Mount Sinai Torah, with Shem, the son of Noah, and his grandson Aver. Largely this is called the Yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Abraham was there, Isaac was there, Jacob was there, Joseph was there, Judah was there. The foundations of whatever you might call pre-Judaism or ancient Jewish people, they studied there. The idea was that it was a universal Torah academy, pre-Sinai, the ancient wisdom, everything great that we would imagine Torah to be today, even though it might be hard to find Torah on this level being taught today. All that we can imagine what it was back then. The goal today is to establish, we're here in Sfat, it's in the Old City, just outside the Old City literally. Some could say it's the Old City, it's right on the edge. And our mission statement, our goal, is to bring nations from all over the world, people, individuals, groups, sabbatical, ultimately one day to a physical center. Today it's a bit limited to an online venue. We have online classes where we are teaching wisdom, hopefully the ancient wisdom, and trying to reestablish the consciousness of the Ger, the universal Torah, the universal message that all people on earth have souls and thus a relationship with Hashem. Our job is to make that a known reality. It's not a new reality, but to reestablish the connection between us and Hashem, and it's a universal endeavor, and we're bringing that message from Sfat, Israel, just outside the Old City, on the grounds of the original cave and campus of Shem and Aver, their yeshiva academy.
Why do you teach Ger instead of classic Noahide laws?
This was something that I chose with intention. When I came onto the scene, as I said earlier in the video, I came to teach the wisdom and ideas of Shem, the Torah of Shem, particularly the remnant of the teachings of Shem through our Torah tradition, whether it be the oral tradition or written tradition. That was a 36 class series, and it was very nice. And questions started to come about. Can we the Noahides keep Shabbat. Everybody knows in the Jewish circles, a non-Jew that keeps the Sabbath or Shabbat finds himself in a bit of trouble. I myself, being the good, honest person that I am, said to myself, I've never seen that written. I've heard it. Everybody's heard it. Is it true? I don't know. Went to the books, and I saw the Ten Commandments very clearly. The Ger and your gates can keep the Shabbos, so to speak, paraphrased. And I thought I was done. I never intended to be a Noahide teacher. I never have been a Noahide teacher. As the questions and proofs were coming in to back this theory that a non-Jew can have somewhat of a service beyond 7 laws, every source proof that I found was always called Ger in the Hebrew. Because again, Noahide is an English word. You're not going to find that in the Hebrew. So whether it was Shabbos, whether it was the festivals, love this person, the Ger convert stranger, it was always Ger. And even as I got deeper into the teachings, I thought to myself, there's 20 billion rabbis on the planet teaching Noahide laws to Noahides. I really don't need to add myself to the mix. One more rabbi teaching Noahide laws. I already know that Ger is pushing the envelope. All the more so, I have my opinions on the 7 laws. As much as I feel that Ger is not being taught well or accurate today or even at all, there's much to be said about cleaning up the 7 laws. As much as my plate is full with Ger, it's not the time to start re-digging out the sources of the 7 laws. One day that will happen. And that's the encapsulation of the 7th Noahide law statutes. That's the whole point of that law, is to clarify the dinim, or the statutes or laws of the Noahide laws. With that said, it's a large task. I'm very interested in it. I hope one day to do it. And right now, the main message is to establish those courts, all 7 laws, and that can only happen through Ger. The proofs of identity and wisdom of the nations and universal Torah must come through Ger. And so for today, where we're at, it's a Ger message. In the meantime, there's plenty of great Noahide rabbis out there. I encourage you to learn from them. And if you want to progress and advance in your academics and wisdom with Hashem, then I strongly suggest the Ger message, checking that out and seeing what it has to bring to the table. And it can even enhance the 7 laws study, and ultimately it'll bring greater revelation of the 7 laws.
How can the Ger concept help the world to be a better place?
The world's a very confusing place. You have Jewish circles urging non-Jews to convert. You have, at the same time, urging people to remain idolatrous. You have 7 law Noahide status. For better or for worse, you have the state of Israel trying to establish a type of B'nai Noah status for marriage and half citizenship. Religion, this is the Jewish religion for the nations. It's a bit archaic, it's a bit draconian, it's difficult, it's challenging, and largely unfulfilling. Ger, on the other hand, brings back the ancient wisdom. It reintroduces the original premise and thought of the Torah. It identifies the identity of he or she of the nations. And I would like to stress that again. It gives the identity. It gives the ancient wisdom. It brings the covenant of the ancients. And that is not a non-Jewish concept. That, in fact, is a verse in the Torah itself. And with that said, it brings back the missing elements that goes over the Jewish radar. The non-Jews, with Ger and consciousness in mind, are then searching for the identity of Ger in the Torah and in the world. And what that does, it raises the consciousness of the Torah to a more perfected level, more universal level. Sadly, a lot of things are not paid attention to. If it's not strictly Jewish, it's generally not interesting. With the Ger, the entire Torah becomes interesting, thus the whole Torah becomes enlightened, and the world can become a greater and more enlightened place. And largely Ger is what is responsible for that awakening. The consciousness and identity through Ger that goes out to the nations, much like the idiom, to be a light to nations. This is how we do that.
How did you hear about our association, Association Noahide Francophone?
This is one of my greater stories I ever get to tell. when I first started teaching, I guess I just got done saying I didn't teach Noahide, but when I was teaching with Noahides, the original Ger message, when it was first coming out in the Torah of Shem, Yiska, or Jessica, at that time, I just knew it as this little French-Canadian girl, contacted me and said, again, it was so long ago, but it was, it was in French and Canadian, English, all these things. Rabbi Katz, we liked your message of Ger. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. I've been teaching all of maybe 6 months, and all of a sudden there's these French Canadians that are interested in Ger and this brand new message of Ger. And at that time, we didn't know who was going to stick around. There are a lot of people that were involved then that are not now. Some people back then are still involved. Jessica, we have several correspondences, and I remember she had a hard time downloading the Shem series, that I think, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was the Parsha series, but I think Shem. And I helped her out to download it. And actually, I know she's telling me she's translated my articles into French. I was saying, hey, bonus, that's pretty good. I haven't been doing this too long, and already it's in French. And I'm very proud and honored and privileged to say that Yiska has been in a relationship with the Ger movement since its inception because of this. I've gotten to know her and her husband and the associates around her, people in the background of the association. We've grown up together, I feel. Their group was young. This group of Ger was young. I've met some wonderful people through their association. And here we are making this video. And I'm very, again, honored to say, I guess 5 years later, we're still together in this project of spreading the light to nations. I'm glad to see the Association Noahide Francophone developing, with Jessica leading the way. I'm proud to see how she's developed the Noahide message. And again, it's a language I don't speak so much. I wish I spoke the French language. But from what I do know, and from what I see, the correspondences, this is really one of the top 3 things on my mind to be associated with, and I'm very proud to see the growth, the determination, and dedication to Ger. And it's given me strength over the years, and there should only be more groups like this to give strength and identity to Ger throughout the world.
Why did you agree to let us translate some of your articles and lectures?
A lot of people that contact me are very nervous, thinking, are they going to sound authentic and genuine or artificial? Again, if someone's going to contact me and they're not sounding the part, usually there's a story that comes with it. Oh, Rabbi Katz, we're going to send your articles to the moon, and we're going to have a Ger association on the moon. It's like, okay, good. Lunar landings are good. Okay. Jessica was different. Again, we spoke about, she was there in the beginning, and it was simple, it was honest, it was innocent. Jessica approached me, can we translate your articles into French? We appreciate the Ger message. And again, there was a language barrier, obviously, but she took such great effort to translate these articles. And it wasn't once in a month and 20 years later in another article. I was hearing back on a frequent basis about the translations and the accuracy and this project and that project. And as the relationship grew between this group of Noahides in Montreal and the Ger message developing through several contacts dispersed throughout the world, the professionalism with Jessica Yiska was there always. There was never a lack. There was never any sign of, this isn't serious, this isn't the direction I want to go. Jessica understood Ger, Jessica got Ger, Jessica never didn't get Ger. I've always felt confident and secure in this group's message and their receiving and reception of the message. And for then, on those lines alone, it was a no-brainer that this group is worth investing in, my time and energy. And I am proud and privileged and honored to see this growing. And it is my only wish and desire that they keep growing and together and help spread the Ger message again. And may all the videos be put into French. And may the book World of The Ger and all future works be translated and disseminated throughout the world.
What do you want us to accomplish?
What I want for this group to accomplish is what I want only in every group, everyone to accomplish that I work with. Ger consciousness, Ger awareness in the world, an awareness that there's something more than 7. You might only be at 7, you may have just come out of the church, but just understand there's a wonderful world of wisdom, Torah, God, amongst the nations, in Israel, worldwide, universal. This group, I have confidence in this group. I just do. It's not about numbers. If this group had 1,000 people, I may be a little bit more skeptical. But I see a very steady pace and growth and commitment to Ger. And all I really ask and wish and desire is that the Ger commitment remain, grow, spread, accumulate, not numbers, but the true believers. The one, they say in the verse from the Torah, 1 from a family, 2 from a city. Is that how it goes? And to grow the message one by one even. If it can grow one by one, if this group can bring the message even into a foreign language and show the commitment and dedication, then that alone is what is necessary for Ger consciousness, Ger awareness, and ultimately it will bring Messianic or Mashiach consciousness into the world, because the Ger is an integral part, and I believe that this group led by Jessica firmly is aware of how important and significant the Ger is in the coming of the Mashiach, the times that we're in, and the path to a better world and world peace.
Can you further clarify why commitment is important to the Ger movement?
Without commitment, this is not going to work. It's not going to go anywhere. That sounds like an obvious statement, and it really is an obvious statement. It's not an impressive idea. It's just simple and literal. Like anything, it needs commitment. If you believe in this message and it resonates, and you want the wisdom, and you want reality, you want genuine Torah connection with Hashem, then the only choice you have is commitment. Noahide to me really stands for a lack of commitment, because it doesn't demand or ask for a commitment. All it really matters with Noahide is in your heart know that you're not an idolater, and you don't kill, and you don't steal, and you don't, But Ger is a positive commitment. If a Ger takes on to give tzedakah or one of the other commandments, that's a commitment. By definition, it's a lifelong commitment. Ger consciousness is the identity. You have a commitment to yourself. To have a commitment to yourself. So I would say, not why is commitment necessary? That's not the question. The question is, what is the one thing that is necessary? And that is the word commitment. If we have to look at all the things we talked about, is Yeshiva Shemin Aver important? Not really. Is Rabbi David Katz important? Not really. Is the world a better place important? Not really. Is the Association Noahide Francophone important? Not really. What is important? You and your commitment to Hashem, yourself, your identity. If you want to call that Ger, the message, and you don't have to call it Ger. Just be committed to the truth, committed to redeeming the truth, committed to Hashem and His Torah, Israel, the holy tongue, spreading those concepts. And again, if you want to just collapse that on one concept, you need to be committed. And if there's anything in life you're going to be committed to, whether it's money, finances, chasing this and that, all I ask is make this your first priority. Right? Lessen the physical associations. Make this spiritual connection your commitment. And I believe if you want to call that Ger, fine. If not, fine. But the bottom line is this is where you need to show commitment. And this is what will achieve all great goals. And again, to collapse it one last time, you need to have a commitment to yourself with an identity, and ultimately you need to be committed to your soul, and that is alone the number one message of this entire Ger movement, if you want to call it that.